Hello, dear student. Welcome to another course in linguistics. This course deals with phonetics and phonology. This is our first lesson. So, in this lesson, we'll be talking about, an introduction to phonetics and phonology. We will try to define each of them and see the branches and some other characteristics that are very important in phonetics and phonology. So, first, we are going to see the definition of phonetics and phonology and the difference between them. So, phonetics can be defined as the study of physical characteristics of speech sounds. So, phonetics basically it studies the physical characteristics. This is something you want to underline: physical characteristics. So, it is a branch of linguistics that studies how humans produce and perceive language. So, it studies the production and the perception of language. Of sounds, not language. Sorry. Studies the production and the perception of sound, speech sounds. In other words, phonetics studies the physical properties, features, characteristics, etc. of a human speech sounds. Human speech sounds. So, what about phonology? If phonetics is about the characteristics of speech sounds, then what is the focus of phonology? What does it study? So, on the other hand, phonology, it is the scientific study of knowledge of sounds system. It studies the sound system, not the physical characteristics of sounds. I mean how these sounds are produced or perceived, but the knowledge of speech sounds, the rules, the underlying rules of speech sounds. Okay, so it studies the knowledge of sound system of a particular language. Okay, it is a branch of linguistics that studies how particular language systematically organizes its sounds. In other words, phonology is about the system of rules not underlies. I can figure that now. Right. The phonology is about the system of rules which underlie the sound pattern of a particular language. So, phonetics studies the physical characteristics, properties, features of speech sounds, in general, speech sounds, all human speech sounds. But phonology, it studies the underlying form, okay, the knowledge that we have in our minds about the system of speech sounds, their system, the rules of sounds, okay, of a particular language, not languages in general, but phonology studies a particular language. It studies each language on its own, all right? But phonetics studies the human speech sounds generally, right? So let's see the difference between the phonetics and phonology. Phonetics, as you can see, it studies the physical aspects of sounds, all right? It studies the production and the perception of sounds. On the other hand, phonology studies how sounds are put together to create a meaning. It also studies the structure of sounds in the linguistic system. So it's in the linguistic system. So it studies the system of speech sounds, the structure of speech sounds. Phonetics transcriptions are done using the square brackets. As you can see, the phonetics we have square brackets. In the phonology we have slashes, phonemic transcription. So the phonetics we call them phonetics. We have phonetic transcription and phonemic transcription. You see, phonetic transcription. Phonemic, let's talk about the phonemes, we'll talk about phonology. Okay, phonemic transcription are done using slashes. Okay, so if you have a sound between slashes, that means the sound in our mind, how the sound is. You mean how like the description or transcription, sorry, of sound underlyingly, not how we produce the sound. Okay, so how we produce sounds is something that is phonetic. We use phonetic transcriptions. It analyzes the production of all human speech sounds regardless of language. As we can see, phonetics studies the human speech sounds, all of them, okay? All human speech sounds. Now, they don't focus on particular language. On the other hand, Phonology studies the abstract, that is the mental, okay, the underlying aspect of sounds in a language, in a particular language. It is based on the study, phonetics again, it is based on the study of all organs concerned in making speech. So phonetics also studies the organs of speech, the organs that produce, okay, speech, that produce sounds, okay. Phonology, it deals with the way sounds are organized in a particular language. The organization of sounds, the abstract system of sounds or aspect of sounds, how sounds are put together to form meaning, etc. So this is something that phonology has to do and does, of course. And phonetics is about the physical characteristics of language. Sorry, the physical characteristics of speech sounds in general. All speech sounds, it studies how speech sounds are produced and perceived, etc. So we're going to see again. Now, in phonetics, we have branches. We have some branches in phonetics. We have three basic branches. Okay, so we have acoustic phonetics. This is the first branch. They are not put in order. All of them. I mean, this isn't the first or the second or the third. They're just branches of linguistics. You can choose any one of them, etc. So what do we have here? So we have acoustic phonetics. Okay, this is one of the branches. The study of physical properties of speech sounds and aims at analyzing the sound waves that occur within speech through varying frequencies, amplitudes, and durations. In other words, acoustic phonetics is the study of the waveforms by which speech is transmitted through the air. It is about how the sounds travel through the air to the hearer's ear through the form of vibrations in the air. So basically, acoustic phonetics studies the sound wave. Okay, when you talk to someone, so we have a speaker and the hearer. So when the speaker speaks, they produce sound waves. Okay, these sound waves are transmitted from the speaker to the hearer in the air. So they come in or they go in the air. Okay, they are transmitted in the air, and then how these sounds are transmitted, that's something acoustic phonetics studies. Okay, studies the vibration, etc. of sounds through, of course, frequencies, amplitude, and duration. The duration of sounds, the amplitude of sounds, the frequency of sounds. That is something that acoustic phonetics is about. And then we have auditory phonetics. So this one investigates speech sounds in the manner they are heard or received by the hearer. In other words, auditory, as you can see, so we have auditory phonetics is the study of how the incoming acoustic signal is processed. It is about how we perceive and hear sounds and how the ear, brain, and auditory nerve perceives the sound. This branch deals with the physiological processes involved in the perception of sounds. So auditory, so we have auditory, that is how the hearer perceives language. Okay, when someone speaks to you, you hear those sounds, you hear the speech in the form of sounds. So how do you perceive that? That's auditory phonetics. It studies how how speech sounds are perceived, okay, by the hearer. So it studies these physiological processes that are involved in the perception of sounds. Lovely. Let's move on to the main important, okay, the main branch in phonetics is called articulatory phonetics. This is something that we're going to see further, okay, in this video and in all phonetics. We will find them in any phonetics and phonology books, etc. So the focus of phonetics mostly is about articulatory phonetics. It's the main branch. So this one has received more attention than other branches of phonetics because the other two branches belong more to hard science. Okay, it's like physics. So then to the philosophy of language. So acoustic is directly related to physics, okay, while auditory phonetics relates to neurology. So articulatory phonetics aims at giving a description of the natural or of the nature of speech sounds and the way these speech sounds are produced by the vocal tract. So it is interested in movement of various parts of the vocal tract during speech. Articulatory phonetics, it studies the properties, okay, the nature, okay, tries to give a description of the nature of speech sounds, the way these speech sounds are produced, okay, in the vocal tract. How do we produce speech sounds? That's the main, that's the focus of articulatory phonetics. So the movements of the vocal tract, okay, that's something we are going to see in this video. Now, look at this is like a diagram, okay? So we have phonology, which is in general. So we have phonology, and then we have branches. What do we have? We have phonetics and phonemics. Phonetics studies with, sorry, phonetics is concerned with the perception or the production, sorry, the production or the articulation of sounds. How do you articulate speech sounds? That's phonetics. And then we have another branch in phonology, which is phonology per se, which studies distribution, okay, how phonemes that speech sounds are put together to form words, etc., to form meaning. Okay, so in phonology we have phonetics and phonemics, right? In phonemics, in phonetics, we have three branches that we have just talked about. We have acoustic phonetics, studies the properties of speech sounds. All right. Auditory phonetics studies the perception of speech sounds, how we perceive them. Okay. And articulative phonetics studies the articulation, the production of speech sounds. Well, this is it for our introduction. In the next videos, we are going to see articulative phonetics, and we are going to see the speech sounds, okay, in more details. So until then, have a good time, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and catch you guys in the next one.